the best kept secret is to carry the experience, the power, the strength of your ever-increasing chronological age, but at the same time, to have the zest, the passion, the vitality, the beauty of your biological age, which is decreasing. This is the secret. As a woman of certain age, I know that. I'm powerful, I'm strong. I'm a woman that I wish I was in my 20s and 30s, but then I wasn't. Then I made 10 mistakes, which probably was okay. So the young ones there, if you start doing what I'm doing now, while you are still in your 20s and 30s, you will be invincible. This applies for men as much as for women. And do you know how? Mainly with food, mainly with nutrition, mainly with balancing the way you lead your life with food, because this is the cheapest, the most secure, and the only way to become a better version of yourself. Yeah, I love the magic pill that one day will come and I will take it and suddenly it will make me 25 again, the elixir of youth. But until then, all I have is food. So let's begin. I will talk to you about how we can optimize our health as women, and mostly applying to men as well. Now, if you're a man, you'll be just as interested because you have a woman in your life, or some of you have many women in your life. So if you want to keep them happy and satisfied, remember, those are a few very practical advice that I'm going to give you to follow. So let's begin that being a woman, it's a bit of a health hazard. Why? Because 2 to 3 times we women, we have much more chance of insomnia and depression. 3 to 4 times women suffer from multiple sclerosis, and between 5 to 8 times women are more likely to experience thyroid dysfunction. And don't start me on Alzheimer's, because later on I will be touching especially on Alzheimer's, a very hot topic. So to say that women are health hazard, those are not my words. Those are words of the fabulous Dr. Sarah Gottfried. So it is true. But what does it mean and why is that? How often we hear women are cranky, women are emotional, women are tired. They are world-leading stand-up comedians that create a whole show around the menopause and women's behavior. And it all comes down not just to lifestyle and epigenetics, comes down to hormones as well. So let's see what are the reasons, for example, for weight gain. Everybody before me today talked about weight as a way of controlling our health. Now, weight gain is something that if you're up to the age of 30, you take for granted. Nothing happens to you. You eat like a horse. You do not put on the weight. 35, 40, suddenly something begins to happen and you wonder, what happened? I'm on this very strict diet. I work out, I stress the gym. Why is this happening? It's all to do with the hormones. Quite a lot of us experience problems with our thyroid, with the disbalance of cortisol, for example, which immediately brings this inevitable weight gain. So what is there for us to address when we have this problem? Nutritional imbalances, gut imbalances, inflammation, environment, etc. So we live in a world where people have so many hormonal issues. For example, thyroid issues, adrenaline issues, sex hormone issues, and insulin issues. It's not enough just to get one of that as a problem, but imagine having 2. This relationship, this hormone communication problem then brings a lot of extra problems. And one secure, certain way to address it is through food and food regimes. Why? Because when you go to your doctor, most of the doctors will give you antidepressants and will send you on your way. You may be lucky to find a very, very good endocrinologist that would look into the hormones and start explaining to you what needs to be done. But funny how all doctors, amazing doctors around the world, some big leading names, they begin and end their diagnosis with food and your diet. They write cookbooks because they know how important food is. So cortisol, I mentioned already, it's another hormone that plays a role in weight gain. Thyroid as well. So those 2 are the main, I would say, hormones that are to do with unexplained weight gain. So therefore we wonder, what should we eat? Now, we know organic vegetables, prebiotics, probiotics, postbiotics, bone broth. We should have filtered water. We should pay attention to the toxins in the air. But those things, even I don't do. And believe me, I do a lot, because I can't live my life in this kind of very strict regimen. I recently met Brian Johnson, in a roundabout way. The man is interesting, the man is fascinating, and he lives an incredible life in which he plans his day by various therapies, supplements, etc. If we don't have this chance, then what can we do? All we can do is pay attention to the way we eat, to our diets. We focus on eating gut-building foods like organic vegetables, prebiotics, also lots of fermented foods. And even, to be honest with you, you see how much of this has been promoted here in the exhibition. We have companies that provide us with bone broth. I make bone broth, but it's a messy job. I'm a chef, so I'll have to make it. But if I find it somewhere where I can buy it, it's not just great for collagen for my skin, it's great for my brain as well. So also work to reduce the toxin exposure by, say, filtering your water, and try to eat at least the 12 dozen that has to be organic, and we have a list of the 12 dozen. I won't bore you with that. So by eating the right foods, we actually are building a very strong foundation. Imagine we are like a house. If we don't have the strong foundations, it doesn't matter what supplement we get. It doesn't matter what therapy we get. It doesn't matter what color we paint our house. If the foundation which we've created with our nutrition and our food is not there, we would fail. The house will eventually collapse. So our hormones dictate how we feel and how we express ourselves. It is assumed that all women have unpleasant menopause, with mood swings, with gait wane, with sleepiness, with hot flashes. This is not the case. I wasn't that kind of woman. My menopause was like a walk in the park. It came exactly when it was supposed to come, and it did exactly nothing. It was just something that happens in my life. You don't want it too early, you don't want it too late. But what's happening now? Most young women go into menopause in their early 40s. That is unacceptable. This cannot be happening. Ask yourself why this is. Of course, stress is up there. Stress is very important. But it is the food, it is the epigenetics, it is the way we lead our life. I have written 14 books, one of which was on the breast cancer prevention diet and regime. And this was written with one of the leading doctors. And because I work with a lot of doctors, I'm like a sponge. I pick up things and I have knowledge. So therefore, I know how the bioavailability of the food I prepare can enhance me in a medical but non-medical way. Because you know what? If I can protect you and myself, as long as possible not to go to the doctor, that is the aim. That's what we want, ultimately. Dr. Sarah Gottfried says, hormones are chemical messengers. Think of them as taxis being sent around your body. They make our skin moist or dry. They make our mood good or bad. They actually control how our muscles, whether we will have sarcopenia or whether we'll have strong muscles. Hormones play these roles, and we never pay attention to hormones. When I was very young, I had the most beautiful skin. Nothing. All my girlfriends, they had acne. I'm talking about young, like when people have acne. Then at 39, it hit me. I got adult acne. Of course, I did not know what the word hormone meant then. I've never heard of hormone. I just thought, maybe I'm eating too much chocolate, maybe I'm eating too much sugar, who knows what. I was 39. Had I known what I know now, I'm sure I would have been able to address this problem. So, let's talk about Alzheimer's. Why? Alzheimer's right now is a hot topic because over 50% of the adults in the world that develop Alzheimer's are women. Now, it's not just to do with epigenetics, it's to do very strongly with hormone expression. There is estrogen. Estrogen plays a vital role in the brain. And we all know that when women go into menopause, the estrogen levels plus other levels of hormones reduce. They literally deplete. They go away. This brings lots of different complications, but one very important thing to remember here is that we have something called beta amyloid. This is a protein that is connected to the presence of estrogen. or estradiol, which is the most common form of the estrogen. And when we are lacking estrogen, and when we are lacking beta amyloid, we are lacking the neuroprotective effects of this hormone. So then we are exposed. We are exposing our brain to inflammation. That's why diet is so important. And another thing about Alzheimer's, it's devious, it's vindictive, and it begins in our early 30s and 40s. We don't know. Why it begins then? Not because of genome and genetics. We know genetics are only up to 20%, depending on who you listen. They're between 15 and 20% responsible for your fate. The rest of it is epigenetics. So let's watch that space, because right now the whole world is spending a lot of money and time in prevention of Alzheimer's. And one thing that works, expert says, is modified keto diet. Now, what is modified keto diet? Keto diet is very plainly protein and fats, but modified keto diet allows you around 15% of carbohydrate, 30% of protein, and 55% of fat. So it's worth looking into this protocol if you know somebody who has a very early stage of Alzheimer's, or the so-called diabetes 3 now, because as diabetes 2, Alzheimer's also can be prevented if caught very early on. So I want to quickly say, because I'm running out of time, which are the most important hormones to pay attention to. Insulin, cortisol, leptin, thyroid, estrogen, testosterone, and human growth hormone. Those are the hormones that are involved in a variety of functions in our body. And it is not harm for you to have a checkup from time to time. Basically, insulin is the most important one. Why? Because most of the adults around the world now and children are beginning to develop prediabetes and diabetes situation. So the irregularity of insulin in our body brings us to insulin resistance. And insulin is a hormone that is so vital, so important. It regulates the glucose. It actually moves glucose into your cells, therefore lowering the glucose into your blood. It is estimated that up to 46% of adults worldwide have insulin resistance, and it is a huge number. Insulin is the key hormone in treating diabetes. In eating the right food, it's one of the best ways of preventing insulin. Failing that is the injection. You choose. It's always like that. We either make time for now when we're healthy and enjoy our health, or we know that one day later on we will have to make time for our illness. And then what we will do, we will burden all our dearest and nearest with that. So very quickly, my 5 steps of my protocol to hormonal health. Detox. When I say detox, you need to clear the pathways before. If you say to yourself, you know what, I want to have a new way of eating. With this detox, you do 3 things. You have 3 groups of vegetables. I'm a big vegetable lover. Well, I love all food, but vegetables are ooh. So you will go for dark leafy greens, number 1 group, which will be with beta greens, a lot of beta greens. Number 2 would be cruciferous vegetables, and number 3 would be allium vegetables. This is at the detox group. Then we talk nutrition. In the nutrition, again, the plate, make sure your plate is 75% of beautiful vegetables, as aforementioned, plus the rest of it to be very high quality, amazing protein. Remember, don't go too much quantity. With the protein, estimate 2 grams per kg, and that's enough. I make a lot less for myself because I don't need it unless I work out at the gym. Following that low sugar, I will tell you, I am a chef. The world is going away from artificial sweeteners. This is a no-no. We no longer like to do erythritol. I no longer want to give you stevia and the rest of the artificial sweeteners. What I like to give you, it's amazing dessert made with very reduced sugar. Sugar that cannot give you any spikes. And this is the tendency, because liver can absorb up to 6 teaspoons of sugar per day for a woman and 9 teaspoons of sugar per man. This doesn't mean to say that you go like that in your tea and coffee. This includes all the added sugar in the food we eat elsewhere. Meditation and yoga, very important, especially for me. I'm very highly strung. I am very passionate. I have a lot of tons, thank God, energy. And meditation has been great for me, very important. And intermittent fasting, all I want to say is that for us women, intermittent fasting is very different. Start with it, choose your hours, do not fast before your period. Perhaps start fasting in the first day of the period, or altogether, I would say, avoid your period, fasting the rest of the time. Watch intermittent fasting. We are not the same as men. Our hormones are more complicated. Our gut alone is different. Did you know that our gut is actually 33 centimeters longer, and it has more twists and turns, just like a roller coaster? So this makes our hormones a lot more complicated. And this is it. I don't know. I said so many things. I ran out of time. I hope you remembered something. Thank you very much indeed.